And because they wanted to talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was like, I felt like God was sending me angels, to walk with.
Exactly.
And
well, I'm sure, every person that you met, it was, I believe, like everyone we meet, whether it's just a quick interaction or a long, you could be married to someone for years, or you could meet someone for an hour. You're supposed to meet them, for a reason.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Hey everybody, welcome to RealLaurenLive, the spirituality and health podcast. Today I have Kathleen Donnelly Israel with me. Thanks for being here.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, Lauren.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to meet you. So Kathleen has a really interesting story. I'm going to let her tell it to you, but just to give you a quick rundown of what we're going to be talking about, we can talk a little bit about, you caring for your husband for years. He had an illness and that was an impact on your life, and then kind of what you learned from that. But then also you had a spiritual journey in France on I'm hoping I say it right, the Camino Santiago, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you met people along the way and sharing forgiveness and possibilities. And I'm really excited to hear about your journey and what you learned there. And then, of course, what you can teach me and my listeners today.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if you wouldn't mind just telling a little bit about yourself and your journey, and then we'll just kind of see where it goes.
Well, I was born in San Diego. We're an old San Diego family, and my husband was born here too, and just lived here all of our lives. And we got married and raised 5 kids. Wow. We were a team couple for Marriage Encounter, and we ran a marathon together. My husband was an athlete, and I was a wannabe athlete. So he ran the marathon in 3 hours, and I ran it in 5.5 hours. But anyway, I was a finisher, so that was really good. So his illness, it was one of the, because he was such an athlete, he was a triathlete. And when he got sick, people were like, found out it was Parkinson's, and people were like, oh no, not Ron, But the thing is, he was a happy man. He loved to sit and watch cowboy movies and NCIS and all kinds of stuff on TV. And he was just a happy, right before he died, UCSD sent out a survey about happiness. And every one of them, he was like happy, the happiest. And he wanted to fill it out himself too, and I was just amazed. But he, having a caregiver was his wealth. I was his wealth. I made it possible for him to do what he was doing. And when he first got sick, I wanted to cure him. And then I found out that he did not want me to be his healer. He wanted me to be his caregiver. So that's how we did our life. I was the caregiver. I was really kind of, I felt like it was a blessing that I was the caregiver, not the cared for one, because, it's hard having an illness like that. And it's hard to die too. It really is. And so he got to do that, and I got to be his caregiver. Because if you're going to do till death do us part, somebody's going to be caring for somebody at some time, So that's what we did.
Wow. How long was he ill, and how long did you care for him?
Well, he had found out he had Parkinson's in 2001. He had it before that, but they just didn't know what it was. They thought it was arthritis. They thought all kinds of things. And then finally his physical therapist said, you know what, your muscles aren't working correctly here, and he sent him to a neurologist, and that's how we found out. And so he So anyway, he was okay until 2011 or 2010. And then in 2010, he was in so much pain. He was like, I told him he was med soup. I'm not a person who takes meds too much. And he was taking, in the beginning, he was taking carbidopa-levodopa, and then he had the one for the side effects of that. And then he had the one for the side effects of that. And he was taking like 8 pills several times a day. And I told him, you know what, you're just full of meds and that's why you're in pain. Yeah. But the doctor said he had stenosis of the spine, and they wanted to give him gabapentin. And I'm just like, he's taking enough meds, So anyway, this doctor came to our house. One of the ways I tried to cure him was I got negative ion clothing and bedding, and he refused to wear them. But anyway, I was advertising it. It's so expensive. You have to sign up to get a discount. And so I was advertising it, and this doctor read about it, and he came to my house to see it. And he said, when he saw Ron, he goes, okay, well, I know I'm here. I'm going to cure Ron. And so I said, well, if you want to cure Ron, you go talk to Ron about it, because Ron doesn't want me to be his healer. Mm-hmm. So you want to do that, you go right ahead. And so Ron agreed. He was in so much pain, he had to do something else. And so the doctor took all his meds with him. Mm. And the next morning, Ron was in so much pain. He said, I need my meds. You don't understand. I just need them. So I called the doctor on the phone, and he was walking up my street. And he came and he gave Ron a coffee enema. Mm. And after that, no more pain. Ron didn't have any more pain after that. Wow. And so, the doctor got me giving him 3 coffee enemas a day and juicing carrots and celery and green apples and feeding them to Ron. And so he was paralyzed because the meds helped him move. Mm-hmm. But he would rather be paralyzed than in pain. Right. So he was happy about that too. He's like, oh, I've got Kathleen to take care of me. I'm just fine, Wow.
Wow, what a journey. Well, so it sounds like it was over a decade though that he had the disease, right, and you were caring for him. So I'm sorry for your loss, but what a beautiful gift that you could care for him. That's true, devotion and love. Yeah. Yeah, it was commitment. Really. It was commitment.
So
what would you say is like your biggest takeaway from that period in your life when you were caring for him? Like, what did you learn? I'm sure there's many things, but like, what's one of the biggest things that you really learned?
Well, I was pretty angry at Ron, actually, because, he decided not to try and heal himself. So he drugged me into his illness, and I was angry. And so we did a novena to, there was this guy, Solanus Casey, and they wanted to make him a saint. And if you're Catholic, you have to have a miracle to become a saint. And so I was like, oh, we'll get you a miracle. You can just cure Ron here. And so what happened was Ron didn't get the cure. I did. So I wasn't angry anymore after that. Okay. So cured my anger.
That's good.
And yeah. I got all the blessings. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And so while Ron was ill, I had a rough childhood. And so I needed to do some healing. So while he was sick and I had to be home, I went online in the evenings and listened to enlightened thought leaders and released a lot of my pain from my childhood. And so that was really good. That was a blessing from his illness.
Yeah, you had a chance to reflect and heal and kind of slow down.
Right.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing how there are blessings within hard times. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pain. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So So after he passed, like, how did you kind of cope? And then, how much longer after that then did your big story about your journey, your trip, like how long was that after that?
Well, Ron died in August, and I was pretty much done with all the paperwork and stuff by January. And I thought, well, if I'm going to go on the Camino, I might as well get ready now because I wanted to go in the spring. Mm-hmm. And so I started, listening to all kinds of YouTubes and stuff about packing light and stuff. I went to a lecture at the library by my house about packing light for the Camino. Mm. And so I just started accumulating all the things I needed. I would, you have to have lightweight stuff. And so I would go online on Amazon and REI, and I'd put lightweight, sun protective shirt, and then I would find the clothing that I needed to take with me.
Mm-hmm. So how did you, because like I've never heard of this particular place in France. Like, what was it about this place that you wanted to go to, and how did you learn about it?
Well, around 2013, while Ron was ill and I was caring for him, really intensely caring for him in 2013, my friend Judy went on the Camino, and she put it on Facebook. And she had a picture of her blisters and her bloody feet, and she was walking with bloody feet. And I was just like, oh, man. But I recognized that Judy was doing something very special for herself. And I thought, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. When Ron's done with his disease, I'm going to walk the Camino too. Mm. And so that was just something kind of special for me because Ron's an athlete. I thought we'd be riding our bicycles across France, in our old age. And then when he got sick, it was like, oh, okay, we're not going to be doing that.
Right.
And so then I had to think of something else. And 2013, I found out what it was.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm-hmm. Well, that's amazing that you were able to do that for yourself. And, because caring for someone takes so much energy and it, can suck a lot out of you. So it's nice that you were able to.
That is so true. Yeah. That is 100% true.
Yeah. So it sounds like, it makes me happy that you had something in mind to do afterwards for yourself, right? To fulfill you. So you went in the spring, and how long was the whole entire trip?
Okay, well, I went for the last week in March. I left in the last week of March, and I stayed in Paris for a week to get so I wouldn't have jet lag. Sure. And then I made my way on a plane and a train to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. And anyway, so I was there 66 days.
Wow.
Which is a long time. Mm-hmm. And I took Holy Week off, and I took every Sunday off. So, that's a lot there. And then I got sick several times, and that took me longer too. But when I went, I gave myself 3 months. Mm-hmm. And when because I was going to finish no matter what, I was going to do the whole thing. That was my goal. And, so that's what I did.
Wow. So how long is is it like a trail or a route?
Yeah. It was the old Roman road, and it goes through it goes all the way across Europe, right? But where I started in France is on the southern western part of France, goes into Spain, and then you go over the Pyrenees. And I never thought I wanted to go to Spain in my life. It wasn't on my list. But now that I've been there, I really love Spain. It's wonderful, and it's beautiful. They started the Camino in 2012, not 2012, the 1200s. I'm sorry, the 1200s. I'm like, okay. the 1200s, what is his name? St. James, actually the apostle of Jesus, St. James, actually in the year, I don't know, after 33, right? Went to the Iberian Peninsula and tried to tell people about Jesus, and he didn't get very many followers. So he went back to Jerusalem and they martyred him. And then he went back. So some people and some angels brought him back to Spain and buried him in Spain. In the 1200s, they were trying to get the Moors out of Spain. And so the story goes that St. James appeared and helped them win the battle and get the Moors out of Spain. And everybody liked St. James after that, right? And they found his grave. And so they started having a pilgrimage to his grave. And the grave is actually inside the cathedral at Santiago.
That's really cool. Wow.
Yeah, so you can go in there and they have this brass statue and you can kind of like hug it and kiss it if you want to. And then they have his grave down below. And when I went in there, there was a lady selling roses out front. So I got one and I threw the rose on his grave. I asked the lady, what am I going to do with this rose? And she said, throw it on his grave.
Yeah. Wow.
So I did.
So the route goes through France into Spain.
Right, over the Pyrenees. Only when I got there, it was snowing on the Pyrenees.
Wow.
And so it was against the law to go over the Pyrenees. So I had to walk around the Pyrenees.
Wow. So it's a long route and you walk the whole thing.
500 miles. Oh. Actually, it's like 489 or something like that miles.
That's incredible. So just every day but Sunday and then that 1 week though, you would just get up and walk most of the day.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, really 10 hours, And
you camped or where did you stay every night?
It's like the Camino is a big part of the economy in northern Spain. So there's albergues. So it's like a big room with a whole bunch of bunk beds and a bathroom and a kitchen.
Okay.
And so they've got whatever you need. If it's in a town with a restaurant, then they'll say to you, you can go to this restaurant, tell them you're a pilgrim, you get the pilgrim meal. And it's like 12 euros. And then if they have a grocery store, they'll have kitchen facilities and you can cook your food. And then if there's no store and no restaurant, then they make your food for you. And, a lot of times I would go into a place and they say, well, you have to eat here because there's no place else to eat, or else you could eat out of your backpack. I usually kept some vegetables and a sausage in my backpack so I could eat if I needed to.
Wow. Okay. So there were places for you along the way. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's not a third world country. They have stuff.
Right.
They have beautiful supermarkets and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Not as big as ours, but
Yeah. Wow. So you did this journey and then you were probably, of course, meeting people along the way and at every stop, I imagine, from around the world.
Yes. The first night I was in San Juan at the Bellare, and people from all over the world were there. And then the next night I actually met the people, and there was a lady from Holland. There was a man from LA and a lady from LA who they didn't even know each other. And there was a guy from Germany. There was a man and a woman who were brother and sister from Canada. And we all made a WhatsApp. And so we could keep track of each other on the Camino, and we can still, contact each other now because we have the WhatsApp.
Oh, that's really neat. So did you sometimes walk with them during the days or?
I mainly walked by myself because I'm an old lady and I walk slow. Plus I have a bum foot. So that slowed me down too. But I felt like I was walking very fast.
That's incredible.
But everybody was going choo, choo, choo past me.
That sounds like a lot of walking. So good for you. My
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. It's kind of a low tech skill. You can just do it.
Yeah. You just kind of do it at your own pace. Wow. And
Yeah.
that's incredible. So what were some of the like hardest parts of it and then the best parts of the journey?
Yeah, the hardest part was the mountains, to climb over the mountains. There's the mesita, and it is very flat. Mm-hmm. And people just told me, "Oh, you're just going to hate the mesita. It's boring and flat." And when I got to the mesita, it was so beautiful because of modern farming techniques. It was just like fields of yellow flowers forever. They're growing canola or something. And but the mountains, oh my gosh, that was really hard for me. And it was like you would climb the mountain and you'd see, oh, that must be the top. And then you get there and it curves around that way. And then you'd get to the top of that and then it curves around that way. And it was like, I felt like there wasn't ever going to be a top, but I knew that there had to be an end to this trail. So I just said, okay, it was kind of like a surrender situation, like just keep walking, and so that's how I got through that.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So it sounds like hard, but beauty a lot at the same time almost.
Right. Yeah. And there was one time I was walking up this mountain and I was so sweaty. There were trees and I would just be really glad when I get under the trees because it wasn't so hot, but you're not always under the trees. And my clothes were entirely wet when I got to the top of that mountain.
Wow.
And when I got to the top, I just sat down and I'm like, oh, I can't go any further. And this guy came back. He got to the albergue and he came back and he said, get up, you need to go because if you don't get there before they're full, you'll have to keep walking.
Oh no. Yeah.
So I got up and I went. And it was just around the corner really. So it was pretty funny.
That's good. He came to get you. Wow. Incredible. So it took you said about 60, how many days?
66 days. Wow. I started April 5th and I got done on June 10th.
Wow.
My husband's birthday was on the 9th and I was trying to get to the end on his birthday, but it was too much. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. 1 day difference. Wow. And so then, when I read about your journey, you said you were sharing forgiveness and possibilities. So can you speak to that? Like some of your more meaningful conversations with people and then, like the spiritual growth that you experienced?
Right. There was have you heard of Ho'oponopono?
I think so. Sounds familiar. Yeah.
So I shared that there was, I was in this albergue and they actually provided the food. And so, I had a tray and I was like looking around, where should I sit? And so I just went over to this table and sat down and there was a guy, the table was full, but there was a guy and a lady, kind of over on that side. And one of the things that pilgrims do is say, why are you here? Why did you come? And so he said, why did you come? Or I asked him, why did you come? And he said, oh, I'm in the military and I had a little bit of a vacation. So I decided to spend it on the Camino. And he said, so why did you come? And I told him about my husband and how I had cared for him for so many years and he died. And so he was really impressed that I took care of my husband in his old age. And I told him, I got married when I was 20 years old. And I remember sitting in my room the night before I got married and saying, my life is not going to be mine anymore. My life is going to be Ron and Mai's life now. And I got it, age 20. Yeah. And he said, Wow, that's amazing. And then the lady next to him kind of nudged him. Oh, he was from England and she was from America. She nudged him and she said, "Tell her the rest." And he said, that he had married this lady and they had a child. And then he realized that he was too young when he got married and he left her. And, that's why he was on the Camino to reflect and figure out what to do. And I was just like, oh man, I kind of socked him to him without even knowing it. Wow. And so I told him about the Ho'oponopono. And what it is it's a Hawaiian healing technique for the family. And it's like a prayer or an incantation. So you say, "I love you." And it's the big I love you. I love God. God loves me. God loves them. They love God. And if you can say it, you say, "I love them and they love me." Okay, I love you. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry that this situation exists between us. The situation here, I'm sorry it exists. Please forgive me for what's going on in me that caused me to attract this. So there's something going on in me, this low vibration, that brought in this sadness to me from this person. Please forgive me. And then thank you. And it's thank you for showing me this so I could heal. So if this person hadn't, pushed my buttons, basically, I wouldn't know where my brokenness was, so I couldn't heal it. So thank you for showing me this so I could heal. And then I love you. I love God. God loves me. God loves the other person. And maybe you can say I love them, by that time. Wow. So it's like it releases us. We have binds with other people that cause us to have adversity. And so it looses those binds. And then we can live with that person, or, maybe we need to get rid of them anyway, but whatever. It looses the binds that we have with the other person that causes us to have a problem.
Wow, that's really beautiful. Yeah, I agree with that because I talk a lot about that on the show about energy, and I do think, we attract certain things in, like the law of attraction.
Absolutely.
And, but yeah, I think for sure learning lessons, sometimes things like that come into our life, and being able to forgive yourself or others. That's a really powerful thing.
Yeah. So that's the deal. I don't really even feel like I need to forgive anybody anymore because I'm taking responsibility for having attracted all of that stuff in. Even, if you saw my childhood, you would think, oh my God, and, but the thing is that I believe that I came in as a low vibrational spirit. I was a low vibrational spirit out in the universe with God. And I heard that if you go into the world, you can raise your vibration because you can do unconditional love. And that raises your vibration. And so even knowing that I was going to go in with a low vibration, I was going to attract really a crappy life. I was willing to do that so I could, do the unconditional love. And the thing about unconditional love is you can't even do it unless you have adversity, because it's easy to love the people that love you, that, that are nice to you. It's easy. But it's the unconditional love that you have to do for the unlovables that raises your vibration. So, I attracted all that in, but it was part of the cure,
That's, nicely said. That's beautiful. And hard work sometimes, but then also once you kind of start to practice it, I think, it could get a little easier too. And,
well, yeah, if you realize what's going on, I had no idea. I thought my sad story was important, and one time somebody said, why don't you just make up a different story? And I'm like, well, that wouldn't be true, but I didn't know that the more I told my sad story, the more I made it real, the more I brought in more of that stuff. So I had to change my mind. And, I learned these things from those enlightened thought leaders while I was taking care of Ron. I had to change my mind, find something good to think about and sink it, And I know it was hard for me to let go of my past. This one coach that I worked with told me, okay, well, just imagine you're walking down the street, you got your past behind you. Okay, now turn the corner. When you look back, you don't see the past anymore. All you have is the future. And that's where the possibilities are. The possibilities are for now and the future. Anything could happen. It's like when I was so sad and I was like afraid of everything because I didn't want some more bad stuff to happen, and I didn't realize that just staying there and thinking that stuff was just going to make it last forever. And so what a wonderful blessing that I figured it out. And I don't have to, number one, I take responsibility, not like guilt or anything, but just honoring my valiant spirit that decided to come in here.
Yeah.
I mean, really. And so now when I would get mortified by things that would go wrong. And now when things go wrong, I'm like, oh, well, Kathleen, congratulations for being out there and doing things, because you could have stayed home and nothing bad would happen, but you were out there. So yay for you.
Yeah. What are you going to learn, and what's part of your journey? And I mean, I really believe that too. Like, we choose our life and we choose to come in, and it's such a gift to come here. And yes, there are hard times and low vibrations, and sometimes we bring that with us, but also we have the chance to grow. That's the whole point, like Earth School, right? And I think it's a pretty common spiritual belief amongst many that unconditional love, forgiveness, and compassion are the highest vibrations. And so if you can practice and attract that into your life and share it with others, I really think that's what we're here to do. And it's incredible.
Yeah. And when we have we find a way to have the joy inside of us, it emanates from us.
It's true.
It changes the world.
Yeah,
it does.
It does. Wow. That's incredible. So you kind of probably shared some of that type of, I would assume, what we're talking about with people that you met right along the way.
Yeah. There was another lady I told about. It's all in my book. It's all, I wrote about it. I wanted to write a book about all the teachings that I learned while Ron was sick. And then when I went to write the book, I was like, I don't want to be teachy, And so I wrote my book I remembered that I had talked about all those things with the people on the Camino. So I wrote my book about walking the Camino and telling people those things.
Yeah. And can you tell everybody what the title of your book is?
Yeah, I don't know. Can you see it straight?
Yeah.
Wisdom on the Camino, a spiritual journey, sharing forgiveness and possibilities to inspire the rest of your life, by Kathleen Donnelly Israel. Wonderful. And I wrote it to share my wisdom, but when I sent it to the editor, he was like, "This is a travel memoir." He didn't get the teachings, but anyway, I think if you have a mind for the teachings, you'll see them in there.
Yes.
And then if you just want to, read a fun story about the Camino, you'll get that.
Definitely. That's amazing. And where can people find your book?
Well, I self-published on Amazon. So I got #1 bestseller in 3 categories. Wow. That was pretty cool.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. And you just go onto Amazon, write Wisdom on the Camino, and it just comes right up.
That's incredible. Wow. Well, we'll definitely link, information about your book and the title and the description of the podcast so people can find that. And I think your story is absolutely incredible, inspirational, real. You have moments of the pain with your husband but yet you were healing through that, which is incredible. And then all the people that you met and your determination to finish and do something for yourself, but then yet you were learning along the way, but also teaching others. I mean, I just think the whole thing is so really cool and special. And
it was a blessing.
Yeah. I mean, for so many people, right? Not just you, but and then now for us to hear about it, really incredible. And I mean, are there any other, tidbits or things that you learned that you'd like to share?
Well, there was another guy, and I met him. He was from England too. No, he was in Ireland, right? He was from Ireland, but he was traveling with a lady from Germany and a man from England, and I met him in Sahagan, and we were just sitting out eating lunch together on the patio, and I was asking him why he was on the Camino, and he said that he had two brothers, and his parents had gone to Dublin to live in Dublin and left them there, the three boys, to raise themselves the rest of the way. And his older brother had left, grew up, needed to leave. And it was his turn to leave. And he had waited till his brother graduated from high school. And now he wanted to leave, and his brother was angry with him for leaving. And he didn't know what to do. And that's why he was on the Camino, and to figure it out. And so I told him, well, when you're worried about something, you're like making up a sad story and believing it. So you need to make up a good story about this, so you can allow the good things to come in. And he was like, didn't know what I was talking about. And so I said, well, think about you and your brothers in I don't know what town it was. And think about you all being happy. And he's like, okay, we're all happy. And he actually saw his parents there too. And then I said, well, okay, well, take away your parents and imagine you being happy. What's going on? And he goes, yeah, my older brother's there and my younger brother, and we're all pretty happy. And then I said, okay, well, now take away your older brother and imagine how can things be happy. And he said, well, one thing I could do is send my brother to my parents. He's their responsibility, not my responsibility. And I said, yeah, that's the good story. Mm-hmm. That's what you can do. So you kind of have to, prime the pump when you want to think of something good. And so it was like possibility thinking, and so that's what I shared with him. And it was so great to be with those guys. I walked, Sahagan is the halfway mark on the Camino. And when I got there, the monk took my money. And what you do is you go in and you pay whatever they want. It's like 5 to 12 euros. It's very cheap. And they give you a bed. And so there was a room with 3 people in it, the English guy, the Irish guy, and the German lady. And so he said, pick a bunk. And there was stuff on all the bunks. And I'm like, which one? Mm-hmm. And he said, well, they've been here too long. Just take stuff off of one of the bunks and choose that one. And so I did. And and then I fell asleep I put out my sleeping bag and fell asleep. And when I got back, they were there. Mm. And I said, hey, do you guys want to do laundry? Because when you go, you only have like 3 sets of clothes. You don't have very much. And so you kind of tell each other, well, do you want to do laundry together? And you put all your clothes together and it's like €5 or something, and or 3, I think it was €3. And so they said, yeah. And so we all went down to the kitchen. That's where the laundromat was. And we did clothes together. And then I went and took a shower, and I went out, and they were with 2 other girls, and somebody had made a salad, and I went out there, and somebody gave me their plate that they had used. Oh, wow. And somebody had a clean fork, and they gave me the rest of the salad because they didn't eat it all. And I thought that was so nice that, I didn't have to get food. They just gave it to me. And that was lovely. And then the next day when we left together, we got to a bar, and we went in, and the Irish guy bought a pitcher of wine and a whole bunch of olives or something. And we were all sitting around, and I tried to give him some money, and he was like, no, you get it next time, And so it's like the Camino provides or something. That's one of the things people say, the Camino provides.
That's really neat. Wow. What a way it's like the pay it forward, right? Like you help somebody and then they'll help somebody.
So after that, there was a lady in the next couple of towns further, and she didn't have enough money to do she only had €1 and she had to do laundry. And I'm like, oh, yeah, let's do laundry together. So I gave €2, she gave €1. We did our clothes. And, it's just like they taught me to be generous in that way.
Help each other out. Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds so incredible. All the people that you met and helping people and learning and then teaching them. It's just what a wonderful interconnected journey.
Yeah. And, I walked slow, but every once in a while, somebody would walk slow with me.
Yeah.
And because they wanted to talk to me. And so that was like, I felt like God was sending me angels, to walk with.
Exactly.
And
well, I'm sure, every person that you met, it was, I believe, like everyone we meet, whether it's just a quick interaction or a long, you could be married to someone for years, or you could meet someone for an hour. You're supposed to meet them, for a reason.
Right. That I was walking out, it was kind of a dry area, mountainous dry area. And all of a sudden there was all these couches and tents and, not closed tents, but tents as in the canopy tents. And they had hung like rugs, Persian rugs and stuff around. It was like huge. And I went in there, they were not accepting money from anybody. They wanted to give you, fruit. They wanted you to have some tea, and nobody wanted money. And I was like, wow, they just wanted to be out there with the pilgrims,
That's incredible. Wow.
And so this guy, I asked him to take my picture. So I gave him my phone, and I went over and sat by one of the rugs, and he took my picture. And then when he came back to me, he sat down next to me, put his arm around me, and did a selfie with me and him. And so I have that picture still.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What wonderful memories that you have. Yeah. And it sounds like you keep in touch with some of the people still.
Yeah. Yeah. We like say Merry Christmas. I know at Christmas time, we were like going on and showing each other what our Christmas looked like. And I took a picture of my tree and sent it to everybody, and other people took a picture of whatever they were doing to celebrate. It was pretty nice.
That's really special. Wow.
I think I was the only Catholic person, everybody else was not. I think like 1/3 of the people are on a spiritual journey, and the other people, maybe they don't call it a spiritual journey. Maybe they're just there, to walking is like a meditation. I mean, when you walk, you have to breathe because, you're doing some exercise. And a lot of times meditation is breathing. And so you're walking, you're breathing, you're doing it for a long time. And And you're walking through beautiful scenery too.
There's a lot to look at and appreciate, and then you're meeting people. And I think whether people know it or not, I would say it's probably definitely a spiritual journey and growth, an opportunity for growth. Yeah.
The church, a lot of the churches, like after Mass, they would have a pilgrim blessing. And a lot of the people that weren't Catholic wanted the blessing. And so they would like stand outside of church until it was over and come in and get the blessing from the priest.
Yeah, that's lovely. Share it with all. Wow.
And the art, oh my gosh, because I'm an artist, and I had to take art history many times, in college, and so the art the primitive art, and the just people making art out of whatever they have. I would walk by like fences made out of all kinds of stuff, and they put it all together and they tie it with wires, and like there would be like this really tall piece of slate, and next to that there would be like a piece of worn out farm equipment, and then there would be a wall, and just like it was just amazing what it was.
So cool. Wow. What an amazing journey. I'm so inspired, and I think I'm happy that you wrote the book, to share with people. I'm glad that you're doing the podcast to share with people so we can hear your story, and because not everyone will go and do that same walk that you did. So it's kind of a way for us to experience it. And, I just am happy for you that you got to experience that. And now you're sharing with us your story. It's really beautiful. Yeah. It's incredible. Well, it's been lovely chatting with you and having you on the show. And I wish you nothing but the best, many blessings and continued growth and high vibrations.
Yes. Thank you, Lauren. Yeah. And you too. I know you're going to have high vibrations in your life too.
Oh, thank you so much. I hope, I'm striving for that. And of course, for everyone listening, wishing that for you too. And it's quite the journey. Well, again, we'll link the book in the description so people can find it. And thank you, everybody, for listening today.
Could I say one more thing?
Yeah.
In my book, people were telling me, you should put the pictures in your book. And I was like, and then it'll cost $50. And so I set up a website with galleries and portfolios of my pictures. So you have to double opt in. I'm sorry about that, but you have to double opt in. And then you can, I put them according to the chapters. So the pictures according to the chapters.
That's very cool.
So they're a gift to my readers.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's fun to see. Very nice. Well, thank you guys for listening. And everybody take care.